In the blistering heart of Nevada's arid wilderness, where the sun blazes mercilessly over cracked earth and jagged red rock, lies a shadow, a mystery buried beneath the dust of forgotten time. Among the sagebrush and silence, beyond the modern casinos of Reno and the electric heartbeat of Las Vegas, are ancient caves, and within them, legends that defy our understanding of human history. Have you ever heard the story of the giants? Not in myth, but in the annals of archaeology. In the early 20th century, miners digging for guano in Lovelock Cave stumbled upon something that would ignite one of the most controversial debates in North American prehistory. Bones, massive, out-of-place, human-like bones, allegedly belonging to a race of red-haired giants. Giants in the American desert? Could it be folklore passed down by native tribes, or the remnants of a lost civilization with origins far beyond Earth? This is not just a tale whispered by conspiracy theorists or campfire storytellers. Historical documents, museum records, and the oral traditions of the Paiute people converge in an astonishing narrative that challenges the very framework of our past. Some say these giants were not just abnormally large humans. Some say they were hybrids, offspring of something not quite human. As we embark on this journey into shadowy canyons, ancient testimonies, and scientific puzzles, one question echoes louder than all others. What if the history we've been taught is missing a colossal chapter? Stay with us as we descend into the darkness of Lovelock Cave, where the bones of giants may hold the DNA of something not of this earth. They were cannibals, red-haired, and tall as trees. Long before the first shovel struck the soil of Lovelock Cave, the native Paiute people of Nevada already whispered of the Siteka, a race of red-haired giants that once roamed the deserts, striking fear into the hearts of all who crossed their path. In the oral history passed down through Paiute generations, the Siteka were not just larger than normal humans, they were fierce, cannibalistic, and not of this land. Their name literally means tool eaters, referring to the fibrous water plants they used to weave their boats. According to the legends, these towering beings warred with the Paiute until, in a final act of resistance, the tribes united and drove the last of the Siteka into a cave that was set ablaze, trapping and annihilating the monstrous race once and for all. Was this merely folklore? Or did the Paiute preserve the memory of something real, something ancient, possibly extraterrestrial? Fast forward to 1911. In Lovelock, Nevada, guano miners began excavating the cave once known by the natives. But as they dug deeper, they uncovered far more than fertilizer. Human bones, and some unlike anything ever cataloged, began to emerge. Oversized skulls, mummified remains with red hair, and sandals measuring over 15 inches long. News spread quickly. In 1912, archaeologists from the University of California arrived and documented the site. Nearly 10,000 artifacts were recovered: duck decoys, stone tools, woven baskets, and bones. But not just ordinary bones, bones that, some claimed, belonged to individuals nearly 8 feet tall. Photographs from that era are rare, but some museum records and field notes remain. And among them are reports of skulls so large they could not fit standard human display cases. Yet today, those bones are nowhere to be found in public exhibitions. Why? What happened to the giant remains? Were they reclassified, hidden, or simply too problematic for the prevailing scientific narrative? This is where the mystery thickens. Because as we trace the timeline of these discoveries, we see a pattern. Evidence unearthed, briefly reported, then swiftly dismissed or vanished from public record. And still, the legends persist. Could the Paiute tales be describing an encounter not just with a now extinct species, but with the genetic legacy of beings from the stars? If bones of giants were truly uncovered in Nevada, where are they now? That is the question that haunts researchers, amateur historians, and alternative archaeologists alike. Because according to early excavation records, these weren't ordinary skeletal fragments. Multiple reports mention femurs over 28 inches long, skulls with double rows of teeth, jawbones that dwarfed those of modern humans. Some of these anomalies were allegedly shipped off to the Smithsonian Institution and regional universities for analysis. But when later inquiries were made, curiously, there were no official records to be found. The bones, it seemed, had simply vanished. Was this a case of mislabeling, poor preservation, or something more deliberate? A chilling theory emerged among fringe researchers that a long-standing academic conspiracy was in place, not just to suppress controversial finds, but to maintain a consistent narrative of human evolution that excluded giants, hybrids, or extraterrestrial involvement. In 2014, a viral claim shook the internet that the Smithsonian had destroyed thousands of giant skeletons in the early 1900s. While this has been widely dismissed as a hoax, it fueled growing distrust. Why, many asked, would institutions consistently ignore, dismiss, or lose track of evidence that defied mainstream understanding? Consider this. Lovelock Cave yielded over 10,000 artifacts, but the most controversial remains, the red-haired giants, were quietly removed from the discussion. Today, you can visit museums in Nevada and see the baskets, the tools, the duck decoys. But the skeletons? Nowhere in sight. And yet, some photographs remain. Black and white images taken by early researchers, now grainy and archived, show men standing beside unnaturally large skulls. Are they genuine, fabricated, or were they once part of a forgotten collection that threatened to rewrite human history? Even more compelling are testimonies from tribal elders who maintain that their ancestors did not lie, that the Siteka were real, that their defeat in the burning cave was not just myth, but a chapter from a distant past, one erased from stone but remembered in spirit. So we must ask, are we uncovering lost truths, or only scratching the surface of a much deeper deception? But what if the red-haired giants were something more than just tall humans? What if they weren't entirely human? As fantastical as it may sound, a growing number of researchers, authors, and theorists have pointed toward a disturbing possibility: that the Siteka, these cannibalistic, red-haired, cave-dwelling giants, were not native to this earth at all. Instead, they may have been hybrids, born of unions between ancient humans and beings not of this world. Is it coincidence that similar stories of giant hybrids echo across the globe? In the ancient Hebrew texts, the Book of Enoch, for instance, we hear of the Nephilim, giant offspring of the sons of God and daughters of men who corrupted the earth with forbidden knowledge. In Mesopotamian myth, the Apkallu were part human, part divine beings, descended from the heavens, who brought wisdom and ruin. Could the Siteka be a North American echo of the same myth? Genetic anomalies have already surfaced in mummy remains from South America. Elongated skulls, unusual cranial capacity, mitochondrial DNA that does not match known human lineages. Could similar evidence have once been found in Nevada before it disappeared? There are tribal legends that seem to support such an idea. The Paiute speak of glowing eyes, of voices that could mimic the wind, of beings who came from beneath the stars and did not age like men. These giants, it was said, built stone walls not with tools, but with thought. They feared sunlight. They spoke languages no human could understand. And yet, they bled. But if these beings were hybrids, what was their origin? Some researchers speculate about lost civilizations, perhaps survivors of Atlantis or Lemuria. Others, more boldly, suggest visitors from Orion, Pleiades, or even Zeta Reticuli, the same star systems referenced in ancient star maps and abduction accounts. Whatever their origin, their presence, and the apparent desire to erase it, hints at a deeper truth. One that might shatter everything we thought we knew about human history. Because if these bones were real, and if they were indeed non-human, even partially, then our species was not alone in shaping the ancient world. The story of the red-haired giants hidden in the caves of Nevada might seem like an isolated legend, a strange outlier in the tapestry of human folklore, but it isn't. Across continents, across oceans, and across time, similar tales echo again and again. Tales of giants who ruled before the age of man, of towering beings, often with strange features, who came from the stars or descended from the heavens. Are these just myths, or fragmented memories of something we've chosen to forget? In North America, indigenous tribes tell of sky people and star ancestors, tall beings of wisdom and sometimes wrath. The Choctaw speak of Nahulo, a race of giants that once roamed the land, pale-skinned and powerful. The Comanche describe a now-vanished race of giants who could run alongside buffalo and tear trees from the ground with their bare hands. Further north, the Navajo speak of the Starnake people, described as a white race of giants with advanced technologies who built cities of stone and disappeared mysteriously. In South America, the Peruvian legends of the Viracochas describe godlike, pale-skinned giants who came from across the sea. Archaeologists have uncovered oversized bones in cave tombs throughout the Andes, skeletons with elongated skulls and heights exceeding 8 or 9 feet. And even across the Atlantic, in Europe, the echoes continue. The Celts believed that their land had once belonged to the Fomorians, a race of monstrous giants with supernatural powers. In Basque mythology, the Gentilac were ancient giant beings who built the stone dolmens and disappeared at the dawn of Christianity. Even in Africa, stories abound. The Zulu tell of a race of gods called the Chitauri, who came from the sky and enslaved humanity, tall, lizard-eyed giants who demanded worship and obedience. And then, of course, there's Asia. In India, ancient texts like the Mahabharata and Ramayana speak of Rakshasas, sometimes monstrous, often gigantic, and occasionally airborne in flying cities called Vimanas. China's ancient kings, the sons of heaven, were said to be giants descended from the stars. The pattern is undeniable. Different languages, different landscapes, but the same underlying theme: a prehistoric time when giants walked among humans, sometimes as gods, sometimes as tyrants, sometimes as saviors. But if these beings were real, where are their remains? That question haunts the curious. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, reports of giant bones were shockingly common in newspapers. Skeletons measuring 8 to 12 feet were said to be unearthed from burial mounds across Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, and beyond. Many of these articles, printed in reputable local papers, described Smithsonian involvement, bones being confiscated or disappearing shortly after discovery. Today, those bones are nowhere to be found. Did they crumble to dust? Were they misidentified? Or was there a deliberate effort to suppress them? Many point to institutional bias, a commitment to an accepted narrative of human evolution and prehistory. The idea of giants, let alone extraterrestrial hybrids, is too radical, too disruptive. It challenges too many foundations. But others go further. They speak of secret societies, of ancient knowledge carefully hidden. They cite organizations like the Smithsonian, Vatican archives, or even government black sites as holders of forbidden truths. Is that paranoid fantasy? Or a reasonable suspicion, given how many reports, bones, and stories have simply vanished? In 2002, a supposed whistleblower from the military claimed that underground vaults in the American Southwest contain not just giant bones, but artifacts of off-world origin, including helmets, tools, and even written languages unknown to Earth. Unprovable? Perhaps. But too many stories, too many patterns, too many missing pieces. What remains today is a mosaic of mystery, ancient bones, lost legends, forbidden caves, and buried truth. And it all leads back, again, to Nevada, where one cave, now sealed and silent, may once have held answers to a global enigma. What do these whispers from the past mean for us now? Why do these stories of ancient giants, hidden bones, and possible alien hybrids refuse to fade into obscurity? Maybe it's because they were never meant to be forgotten. Consider this. Civilizations long gone, cultures with no known contact with one another, all left behind monuments and myths echoing the same tale of giant beings, sometimes divine, sometimes terrifying, often far more advanced than their human contemporaries. The pattern isn't just local, it's global and deliberate. In Nevada, beyond Lovelock Cave, curious petroglyphs dot the desert. Some show tall, looming figures with oval heads and elongated limbs towering above human hunters. Others depict what appear to be starbursts, spiral galaxies, or even flying disks. Were these the idle scrawls of primitive people, or attempts to preserve a memory, a warning, a truth? The Paiute still tell their stories. They say the Site-Ka were not only giants, but cannibalistic, aggressive, and technologically superior. Could that be why the ancestors allied to seal them within the cave, burning them alive, not just to end their reign, but to erase them from history? And yet, their bones remained, at least for a time. What remains today is a war of narratives. On one side, science, caution, skepticism, tools forged from centuries of empirical progress. On the other, oral traditions, fringe archaeology, suppressed reports, and the undeniable allure of the unknown. We live in an era where history is being rewritten with every archaeological dig, every declassified file, every new satellite scan of the Earth's crust. Ancient cities are being discovered beneath jungles, beneath oceans, beneath the sands of time. What if giants, or alien hybrids, were simply another buried chapter? Would we accept it, or would we cover it up again? The ancient aliens hypothesis, once dismissed as pseudoscience, now stirs serious academic debate. Scholars like Zechariah Sitchin, Eric von Däniken, and Graham Hancock have proposed that humanity's leap from primitive tribalism to monumental civilization was not entirely self-made, that perhaps visitors, once revered as gods, nudged us forward. In that context, the giants of Nevada, red-haired, powerful, and strange, might have been part of that grand experiment. Not fully human, not fully alien, something in between, hybrids, sentinels, mistakes, we may never know. But perhaps they were warnings of what happens when knowledge is abused, when power corrupts, when the lines between gods and monsters blur. Today, as we scan Mars for microbial life and send probes to the edge of the solar system, we are rediscovering what our ancestors may have always known. We are not alone, and perhaps we never were. The cave in Lovelock is now quiet. The bones are gone, the artifacts scattered, the official records vague and contradictory. But the story still breathes. It lives in tribal songs, in forbidden archives, in crumbling newspaper clippings from a century ago, in the dust of a desert where something unforgettable once walked. Perhaps they were monsters, perhaps they were angels, or maybe, just maybe, they were both. The truth may lie beneath our feet, or hidden in plain sight, but it calls to us, in dreams, in myths, in every unanswered question we dare to ask. Who were the giants of Nevada? Where did they come from? And what secrets did they take with them into the dark?